Hey, I hope you're all doing well. As you can see, I'm not currently in my classroom, but I thought while I was working, I'd go ahead and upload a video lesson for you. So, why don't we take a look at our homepage? First thing you'll notice is we have a new button here. This button will take you to your weekly agenda. So, as you can see, we have what week it currently is and the current module we're working on. I'll be updating this every week. So, next week, you see that we don't have anything to do on Labor Day. Now, you'll see that the bell ringer tells you to go to ReadWorks. So, that's going to be your first thing you're going to do. As soon as you get in my class, whether virtual or hybrid, we're going to be working on this bell ringer here. And then it just tells you we're going to, for instruction, watching the Great Dictator speech, which is what mainly this video right here is going to be about. And it'll go further into it. But notice here, again, it says the module we're working on is Rhetoric Section 1. So let's go look at that module. Again, first things first, you know that you're supposed to complete your daily ReadWorks bell ringer. So when you go to ReadWorks, you're going to click here, and you're going to open it in a new window. And it's going to ask you for an access code. Now, to get that access code, you're going to hit this access information button. So let's click here. And here are your instructions on how to get into ReadWorks, okay? So I'll probably end up moving the ReadWorks tab over here so that you know to do it first thing first, okay? So when we look at instructional video 1, that's what actually you're watching right now. So you know that this is the first thing you're supposed to do in order to get prepared for the class. Now, next, the Great Dictator speech. Now, this is something we'll be watching in class together. So if you're in the Zoom meeting, you get to see my direct interactions with it. But for the time being, let me give you a brief summary of everything that it's about. So rhetoric is the process in which we communicate. So it's the words and phrases we use to basically get what we want. Powerful rhetoricians use these phrases to either help or hurt people. Some of the greatest rhetoricians of all time include Martin Luther King and FDR and Barack Obama. But on the other end of the spectrum, we have Adolf Hitler. Now, Adolf Hitler was an incredible rhetorician, but a terrible, terrible human being who killed and oppressed millions of minorities, including the Jewish people. Now, when we look at Hitler, we can look at him objectively and see his speeches as powerful pieces of rhetoric. He guided an entire nation into killing millions and millions of Jews. So when we look at the Great Dictator speech, we have to recognize it for what it is. This was produced, I think in the late 40s, maybe early 40s. And what it was a parody of Adolf Hitler and how he gave his rhetorical speeches. The character you see giving the speech in the video is someone who rose to power like Hitler, except for it's more comedic. It's supposed to be a funny movie. And they are putting him in this position to say, yes, we're going to go storm this nation. We're going to go do this and this. Now, great leader, give your speech to inspire your people. And he gets on stage and he gives the speech that's given before you. Now, this speech is something that's beautiful. It's inspiring. I remember watching it in high school and feeling like, wow, I feel like I can change the world. And that's what great rhetoric is. The great dictator decides to use that moment to, instead of leading the nation into killing people, he uses that moment into healing the nation and teaching them about kindness and love. So after watching that video, you're going to go into Rhetoric Video 1. And that one's going to be tied into an assignment, which is this one right here. So while watching the video, you're going to want to have this assignment pulled up. I'm not going to pull it up now so that you can see the questions later, but you need to answer the following questions when the video prompts you to stop. You only need to write 1 to 2 sentences, but you must write in complete sentences. I don't want half-baked sentences with half-baked words. Give me high school level sentences, okay? And then finally, you're going to participate in a discussion board. Now, this discussion board is going to be what I use to grade your attendance. So you must participate in the discussion board, okay? What I want you to do for this discussion board is I want you to think of any inspirational leader that has utilized rhetoric to its fullest potential. And how did they utilize that rhetoric? In other words, how did they influence people to inspire or change? So think of it like this. When I think of great rhetoricians, I think of President Barack Obama. I think of President Theodore Roosevelt. I think of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Many of our presidents in the past have been considered great rhetoricians. How else can they rise to power if they weren't just wonderful speakers? A large part of how they get to their position is through structured debates. So, therefore, they must be good speakers, usually. So, when I look at them and I think of how did they use it their fullest potential, I can remember thinking about Theodore Roosevelt's. He has a speech in which he talks about how he is as strong as a bull. And one of his big policies was called speak softly and carry a big stick, in which he was to speak kind to people, but if he had to, he'd use the stick. So these are sort of the things I'm talking about. Just, if anything, if you think so-and-so in your mind is a good rhetorician like Barack Obama or Martin Luther King Jr., why don't you go look up something that they've done, or even just off the top of your mind, if you can just produce anything that says, well, this is why I think they're a great rhetorician. This is how they change people. This is what they've done. So after you complete that, that's it for Tuesday. Monday's Labor Day. So remember, task number 1 is to go and do ReadWorks first, okay? It's going to have your assignment already there. It's going to take you about 5 to 10 minutes to do. Then watch the Great Dictator speech, then the rhetoric video, finish the assignment, and do the discussion board. In total, it should take you about 45 to 50 minutes to complete all of that, which is an entire class period. So if you have any questions, you know how to reach me. You can message me in Canvas. So I hope you are doing well, and message me if you need me.